So today we're going to put the rack onto the mudguard. So the rack has a retaining hole and bolt there, and it's also fastened onto the top suspension mountings, which, if you remember when we've been saying, the bolt is slightly longer to accommodate these onto it. So I'll just go get the rack. So this is our rack in relation to it. I know it's not much, but if you'd have seen this before, it was in a right state, because basically when my brother and I had the bike, the seat wore out, so we ended up putting a plank of wood being fastened onto the front bar across to the seat, to the rack, and we sat on a plank of wood and bounced around. Not the most comfortablest of seats, but I've no doubt people have done the same really. So the first bolt I'm going to put on is the one that holds it onto the frame. The reason I'm doing that is because I don't want it to move and scratch the mudguard. It's not going to fall either side now. It's going to be nice and safe. So again, washer, spring washer and nut, and we'll bob them on. Washer first, all the way home. Spring washer, all the way home. And nut on the bottom. And we'll just take that up to finger tight. There we go. So the next thing then is to get the bar onto the nut. And this is where you just have to do a little bit of jiggling around to get it on without actually trying to scratch the paint. There we go, and it's home. That's that one done, and I'll just walk around and I'll do the other side. There we are. That's that, nice and secure. We'll just nip up the bolts so they're all done. Here's a useless piece of information really. I got these, the Craftsman spanners. Don't know if you can see it there, from America. And what's interesting about them, and this is where I bore you to death really, is, let's see, there. On an ordinary ring key, it's got points that you can see there. It's got loads and loads of different ones. On these spanners, it's the actual shape of the nut. And I think that on these ones, when I'm doing stuff where I want to be careful, these will grip it, whereas these may well slip and do it. They're both Craftsman spanners, but I saw some guy on telly spoke about them. Can you see it better? And I thought, oh, that's a good idea. So I treated myself to some spanners and they seem to work great. So just bob it on. Nice and tight. Bob it on. Nice and tight. So we've done the rear suspension, that was on dusted. We've done the rear mudguard, we've put that on. We've put the seat on, and now we've put the rack on. Next thing we're going to do is put the rear light number plate holder on. That's going to be our next thing.